Hey everyone, Thyworm here with a review video on Diablo 4 Season 4. I'm done playing, I think. I had a great time, I just wanted to share my thoughts, that's all. So let's dive in. I've played this season for 30 hours roughly and reached level 100, upgraded all glyphs to level 21, did level 100 nightmare dungeons, did a worthy gauntlet run and reached level 60, 70 something in the pit. I haven't done many bosses this season, definitely not the uber bosses, but I feel like I've seen most of what this season has to offer. Here are the topics that I would like to highlight for the video. The seasonal theme is Loot Reborn, which doesn't require much explanation. It is a complete overhaul of the loot, of crafting, and of the progression throughout the game. Affixes are simplified, no more do damage on a Tuesday evening memes. Affixes could even be considered a little boring, but honestly I don't mind. Before we get into the progression this season, which is by far I think the most interesting topic, let's first talk about the various endgame systems I mostly played and why they work so well this season. The new Helltide is enjoyable, impressive, filled with demons, filled with loot, and it ties in nicely with the rest of the endgame content. I would even argue it may be too good, seeing how much loot drops, but I think that's more of a balancing thing than anything else. It's not a big deal at all. What is a big deal is that Blizzard took some lessons from previous seasons, primarily from the vampire season, and realized what made Green Helltide so fun. They've copied Green Helltide, which was wild in terms of random encounters and shit that happened, and painted it red, and the result is this massive, sprawling open world where demons, harbingers and hellborn are constantly invading, where doomsayers summon demons, and where the maiden boss gets invoked repeatedly to meet her demise by a group of adventurers. The only drawback, next to it being a bit too powerful perhaps, is that Helltide makes the whole world feel monotonous and red. It's like putting Delirium on a map. I love Delirium, but I don't like everything turning grey. Similarly, at some point, I'm a bit done with all the red and would like to see something else for a change. Fortunately, other endgame systems still have their purpose and the game overall looks and feels amazing to play. Nightmare dungeons haven't changed all that much, but they are now more streamlined. You don't drop as many, but instead get plenty of sigils to craft them yourself. The devs removed the standard 4 affixes each Nightmare dungeon used to have, which is great. Season 4 Nightmare dungeons have only one upside and one downside, making them much more predictable and manageable, something I thoroughly enjoyed. At some point, I think I was around Nightmare dungeon 70 or so, all the loot you drop is max item level, 925. The primary reason to run Nightmare dungeons is to get glyph XP, and they're a great source for runestones, I think they're called, the ones that you need to enter the pit. As a result, Nightmare dungeons still have a place in the endgame, and they offer a nice bit of variety as well. The new endgame system is the Pit, a randomly generated dungeon consisting of at least 3 levels where you need to slay enough enemies to spawn a portal to a boss which you then need to defeat. Straightforward, uncomplicated, good old fun. Enemies along the way drop nothing, they just fill the bar to spawn the last boss portal, which means the experience is very streamlined as you're not picking up anything. The pit gets progressively harder, similar to higher numbers in Nightmare dungeons, and around the pit level 60 or so, monsters start to inflict serious damage. The results are worth it though, because you're getting special crafting materials required for masterworking your gear, which leads me to the last topic of today. What seems like a tall order, making progression feel good after level 70, is what the devs pulled off this season. It's no small task honestly, and they've succeeded gloriously. I've always enjoyed playing Diablo 4, just not for very long, and apart from last season, never passed level 70 or so. I just didn't see the point. There was no clear reason for me to keep building my character, and the grind was rather boring. Season 4 pretty much fixed all issues in this regard. It is quite astounding, honestly. First, they added or revamped all the content I already discussed. Second, they smoothened out the progression curve by making you level much faster and giving you stuff to care about at level 100, like uber bosses. The leveling experience is silky smooth this season, and I ran a combination of Helltide, Whispers, the occasional world boss and nightmare dungeons to make it to about level 75 or so, which is when I started to focus more on actual gearing. I didn't blast to level 100, it seemed boring and kind of pointless. Instead, I just played most aspects of the game and I had a great time doing so. The gear that you receive before you reach World Tier 4 and let's say roughly level 75 basically gets replaced so quickly that it doesn't matter much. This might be something the devs want to look at in the future, and it is even more obvious because you can skip the campaign. I know a lot of people like that, but the only achievement to strive towards when creating a new character is to make it to World Tier 4 and reach level 75-ish. I feel it might be a bit shallow, and reliving the campaign may add more of a sense of achievement. I know, sue me. On the other hand, you're farming levels, world tiers, Iron Wolf's reputation, the battle pass and seasonal progression and the whisper caches. And the whole process with the new changes only takes like 5 hours or so. It is quite fast. And then I'm not even power leveling by any means. I think apart from the overhauled and well-made character progression all the way up to level 100, the gear progression works evenly well. Regular and sacred gear has very few affixes, and those are even simplified as well, you only get 2 of them. Ancestral gear has 3 affixes, making it a lot more valuable. Then you have the overhauled codex, where salvaging gear gets you increasingly stronger codex of power entries, which is yet another amazing form of progression, and filling up those bars feels great. After some grinding, you'll be able to visit the occultist for the strongest powers. But they added more. Now you can start tempering your gear at the blacksmith. You have 2 tempered affixes that you can add, but you only have a limited number of attempts at tempering, adding a part of RNG to this system. It keeps it interesting. It's a good decision because we already have the gold sink of trying to hit the perfect affix with enchanting gear. But there's more, because let's say you found a 3 decent base affix on an ancestral item, you got lucky and hit 2 tempered affixes on top of that you like, and now you have another thing you can add to your gear, which is masterworking, which improves all of those 5 affixes by a certain percentage. By running the pit, you get the materials, and it is yet another layer and yet another reason to keep playing. But you're not done yet, because they also added greater affixes, which are super high rolled affixes, and these can result in even better gear and may persuade you to do the whole process over and over again on a new item with incredibly high base stats due to 1 or more greater affixes. The loot is definitely reborn, and the newborn system is devilishly good. The downside of all this gloriousness is that unique items, which cannot have tempered affixes, are basically all trash. But okay, that's something to balance for next season, I suppose. The foundation here for all of this gear is simply amazing, and the gear hunt is what could keep me playing for quite a bit longer. I just have Path of Exile to get back to, as I want to make some more videos about Solar Self-Found. I'm trying out a cute little indie game called Dread Hunter, which I will probably make a video about, I think, but that will most likely be on the 2nd channel, so I'm kind of done for the season, despite not having checked out the new Uber bosses. I may even give it another go in a few weeks when I'm bored, we'll see. Regarding the bosses, maybe the last point I wanted to make is they still require all those materials. It's not my favorite part of the game, honestly, but hey, overall, had an amazing time. And you may have a great time as well, hence this video. I just wanted to let you know my thoughts. And that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed this one. Subscribe and like for more ARPG content. Thanks for watching and making it to the end. Love you all. See you soon. Bye bye.